All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Lots of things going on this morning. Volumes have returned, and a lot of things going on. Let's go talk about them. Let's start with oil and crude, and oil's pulling back here today. If we just bring it up on the USO, okay, it's pulling back into kind of the support zone that I was looking at potentially being a buyer of. That said, I'm not buying it right here. Okay, yeah, AK, as you say, you want to get back into AUSO, but crude is getting crushed. Okay, it's getting crushed here today. Um, can it snap back? Sure, it can. But overall, I want to see a little bit of strength come into it before jumping all trying to bottom pick with it. If we just pull up crude futures, you can kind of see here is they've continued to bleed lower. There just continues to be a lot of sell pressure in there. And then if we look at them from a kind of an hourly basis, the one thing that crude futures are doing is they're testing the low from 2 weeks ago. Okay, when crude bottomed, in fact, let's see if I can pull it up on a daily basis here. When crude bottomed here, it bottomed early December, late November here around 92. Rallied all the way back up to 100, stuck there literally for no time at all. Okay, really did not spend any real time above 100. From a technical standpoint, continuing to weaken. If we just slap on something as basic as a Fibonacci, okay, so let's just kind of retrace this rally from late November to mid December here. Okay, you'll notice that we're down in the 50% retracement. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we could kind of step in, try to bottom pick a little bit. I would prefer to do that if we got down into the 95 area, 95.80, 95.90. I'd be a little more interested in that. Or if we have some sort of strength come in. But right here, it's still a little bit difficult for me to want to get in there. Okay. Let's see. Looks like we have some echoing. Is everybody echoing off? A lot of times with the echoing, it's because you have it open in two different windows. Uh, Let me know if that's the case. No problem there, Richard. Okay. That's what I would guess. If not, let me know. Okay. If not, let me know. Okay. All right. Thanks, Vegas. So for me, oil is, yes, is it coming down to support area? Sure, but it's nothing I want to try to react to right here this morning. Could you be bottom picking it here? Yeah, but we're dealing with overall a lower high. Okay, so yeah, we had some good volume, a nice surge off that 92 level on crude futures, but we're still dealing with a lower high overall, and that makes it so I don't really want to get aggressive stepping in just yet until I see a little more support. Okay. Let's go and kind of run through our positions. Let's start with Boeing for the challenge. Boeing up what 13 cents. I mean, Boeing's been all over the place, right? And it's been kind of like many of the stocks out there. Sharp sell-offs this morning, rallying back. Boeing's one of the early ones to actually go positive. One of the things that's been happening with these stocks that have gone positive, and as I've kind of watched them this morning, is they go positive, and then there's some selling that comes in fast and furious as soon as they go positive. Now, what we're seeing over about the last 10 minutes is some of these, like Boeing, that have gone positive, where some of that selling is coming in real fast. Well, they're kind of shaking that off a little bit. Okay, they're shaking that off a little bit, and they're trying to go positive again. Will we see another sell come in? We could. It's still a little early, but this is kind of the action that we're seeing on a lot of the outperformers today. Things without any sort of news, but are kind of outperforming the market overall. You take something like Schlumberger, okay, went up, hit even, and fast, boom, sell. kind of came into play. You see how far some of these came off of their bottom. To see them get sold as they go break even, not necessarily uncommon, but we've seen a lot of this happen. Micron, okay, Micron went positive and boom, real fast, selling came in right as that thing went positive for the day. Now, Micron off of its lows significantly here today, but kind of just showing you what has been going on. FedEx, okay, FedEx shot down, shot up, went positive, and boom, the sellers kind of came in aggressively. Is this bearish? Is this bearish here for FedEx? It could be. But at the same time, I don't think it's anything really worth reacting to just yet. I still think we're in this kind of Monday after quadruple witching, and in an even more magnified way. Okay, Tesoro. Okay, same concept, same thing. Goes positive, boom. Sellers hit in very quickly. It's held a little bit more of its green. It's not quite keeping up with Western refining. Western refining just, that sell came in on the open and buyers just stepped into that real fast. Valero's kind of done more what Tesoro has done, but Western has been the clear winner. Okay. U.S. Steel, okay, upgraded this morning, gap up, continues to rise, continues to charge. I mentioned this morning, I had got an email asking if I think U.S. Steel can follow through. Absolutely. I see no reason to be a seller of U.S. Steel here. Now, is Nucor keeping up with it? No, but this is bullish action for Nucor. This is a bullish bleed back to the 7, not able to break down. Nucor ends like this today, I will have a hard time not going and getting back in to Nucor. Okay, a little bit later today, I'll show you a little bit more in regards to the steel and the iron ore and the coal stocks and some of the things that are going on there. Bank of America. Okay, I know several of you are hitting up to the upper band. Bands are contracted. Okay, can we find a little resistance here? Sure, absolutely can. But given the high volume uptick on the Fed reversal, and then the just incredible consolidation where really no activity going on with Bank of America, outperforming tremendously today on the upgrade. I think there's a lot more there's the probabilities favor Bank of America pushing higher, much more than they favor it pushing lower. Okay. Qualcomm, and I'm going to kind of just go through the various positions. Qualcomm, we got in for the Vibe Trend Rider, pulls back here today about 1%. Has found some support down here in the 73.25 area. This is kind of where I mentioned being a buyer. For those of you who wanted to get into it, the 73.25 is a nice support area. Can it break down? Sure. There is a little bit of negative news on it today in regards to some of its manufacturing with Apple, but overall the bullish trend remains strong for it. Kihu, okay, Kihu's been one that's kind of danced all about here today. And all these Chinese internet stocks, they're pretty much doing the same thing today. The Baidus, the Sohus, the Sinas, they're just they're slightly flat. They've been up a little, they've been down a little, and overall pretty flat, but holding up relatively well. Schlumberger, which I know some of you are in here with me as I got into that on Tuesday. Nothing really to react to with it. It's been down pretty good. It's been up a little, but really nothing to react to. And that would kind of be the same here as Halliburton. Halliburton, the same type of action from a percentage basis as Schlumberger. And you think, well, okay, Schlumberger, Halliburton, oil's down $2, and they're holding up okay. That's pretty good. Is there some danger? Maybe we have to bow out of them into the end of the day. Yeah, maybe. But overall, holding up pretty well. Verizon. Verizon, I'm surprised. I am shocked with Verizon. And the reason I say that, and I mentioned Verizon Tuesday, I showed you I bought some Verizon calls, at the end of the market there. For those of you who weren't with us, we didn't send them out on the site just simply because these were end of day things, and I just showed that I was getting into them. But to send out the alerts and everything just wasn't really possible in that short time period. So Verizon, I fully expected to break down today if the market gapped down. I fully expected this one to weaken. It hasn't. It's held up pretty well. It's held on to this 49 level. It went green for a brief time, had the selling come into it when it went green, kind of like what's been the theme here today. I mean, this thing went green just briefly and boom, gets knocked down about a 0.5% really quickly. It's trying to mount the charge back. For me, 48.92. I kind of told you I have that auto order where I'm out if it breaks below 48.92, but so far holding up really well. And this is kind of the theme of a lot of stocks out there, holding up pretty well. We do have the major weak points. Some of the major weak points out there are in the consumer staples names, but these are even starting to bounce just a little bit. The Hershey's of the world, the Kellogg's come off of its lows here a little bit. The Johnson and Johnsons, we're seeing relative weakness in the consumer staples, but even there, they're not like these horribly aggressive breakdowns. Okay. GM broke below the 7 last week. We talked about it kind of, in this consolidation range. The Bollinger's contracting. Does the 7 matter? No, because it's in a consolidation mode. To me, GM is simply a product of the broader market right here. Would I like to be a buyer of GM? Sure. If it went down in 39 and a half area, 39 and a half area. I think that'd be an interesting buy point. Look, GM unfortunately has a drag from Ford on it. I mean, what Ford did 2 weeks ago was simply from an investor standpoint unexcusable. You don't come out, you don't give the analyst and the investors this idea that things are improving and doing really well, and that your stock is severely undervalued, and then a couple days later come in and change the story essentially. And that's what they did. And it's going to take maybe 2 earnings periods for Ford's management to gain back the credibility that they lost in that. And while GM's not reacting like Ford, GM is going to, there's kind of a sympathy sell kind of going on there, kind of that hand in hand action. Walmart. And Walmart talked about this morning. It's kind of right in between the upper band and the lower band, right? Bands are contracting, so to see it go up to the upper band, sure. See it go down to the lower band, sure. For me, there's nothing here in Walmart that I'm overly excited about. If Walmart does break out and go to a new high, I get really nervous about the broader markets as far as them correcting in a big way. With Walmart here, you're kind of right in the middle. To me, it's in pretty much no man's land overall. Still bullish as long as you're kind of holding on to the 7, but I really would expect a little more consolidation. But for me, not really in a position that I want to go out and trade it. Target, okay, this one to me is interesting. Why would Target be interesting to me? Because it's been full of bad news. Bad news after bad news after bad news, and it's not breaking down. Okay. Um, that just, to me, I love seeing that as far as expecting a bottom in something when they're able to take on bad news. And yeah, they'll go down a little bit, but overall they're able to hold up. And, so far Target's been able to do that and trying to actually push into a trend rider bull signal here with Target. Okay. ENDP here, a pharmaceutical been consolidating. Richard, I wish I had something to even say about this, but I don't. I'm not familiar with the company, with their FDA stuff. I'm not familiar with their trials. When it comes to the pharmas, a lot of times they're not technical trades, they're more fundamental. This to me looks like there was some sort of good news, maybe even a buyout talk, and it's going to find some flatness here around 65, but very difficult for me to want to mess with this unless I'm very. To me, it's a fundamental trade, not technical. Okay. MMP, and this is one we looked at last week. Kind of going into a new high. Still bullish, but getting a little bit of ways from the 7. MMP just has a history of it snaps below the 7, it snaps back above, it snaps back down. To see it kind of surge up here in September, flatten back to the 7. I don't think today's action is anything bearish for MMP, but just kind of more getting back to normality for it. Okay. Yeah, LinkedIn setting up to go bearish. This is ugly action for LinkedIn. This is very ugly action overall. And I'm actually going to use LinkedIn when I talk when we do our technicals class here today. But breaking below 210 is pretty ugly. Now wouldn't want to jump into it right here. The last 2 times we saw it break below 210, it had some pretty vicious snapbacks to the upside. But LinkedIn is one that is on a relative basis starting to underperform. But if you look at how it's outperformed the rest of the group over the long term, it's still in a pretty bullish upward trend. Okay, so with LinkedIn, I want to just be really careful in regards to the risk reward on an entry, and something like Tesla, very similar. This action here in Tesla today, pulling back towards the 147 area and bouncing at 147. To me, I like the setup of Tesla long off of today's action better than I like the setup on LinkedIn short off of today's action. But both of them are going to be very volatile types of plays there. Okay. All right, so broader market. Okay, we mentioned this morning, that the first couple days of the market during a month, they've been not only bullish during 2013, but the first couple days of the market were bullish in 2012, 2011, 2010, 2009. And a lot of that phenomena is simply because of your major fund or your pension funds, your 401k funds, kind of putting money into play, and we tend to see a buy point come in. We're seeing that come into the market a little bit here today. Okay, we're seeing that come in. I would not be surprised to see the markets go bullish today. I would not be surprised to see it or turn green today, is what I mean. I think the overall action here today suggests that there's still more money on the sidelines that wants to come in, and looking to buy dips instead of sell rallies. But again, still a lot to play out here today. Yeah, Boeing today. And really interesting. Look, I've watched Boeing closer than any other stock today. And while I think the price action on Boeing the last week and a half has been completely insignificant, just because of the lighter volumes, we see volume coming in today. Boeing had every reason to sell off. Boeing had every excuse to sell off. It had lagged, it had underperformed, it has the vote coming tomorrow. It really, from a technical and even slightly from a fundamental, had every reason to sell off. And we've seen the volumes pick back up on it. We saw it go green, sell off hard, saw it go green again, sell off hard, and now making its charge up. To me, this gives me courage to want to hold it through tomorrow. And I mentioned back when it broke down, back when Boeing broke below the 7 on Monday, I said, you know what, I'm holding it. Call it a gut feel. Call it what you may. But I think Boeing has some really good action to come here. I would love to see it break above 138 today and hold above 138. That would make me feel even more comfortable and actually make me want to buy more Boeing. Okay. What do I think about the metals and the miners? Yeah, Brad, metals and the miners. Steel, coal, copper, very bullish on. Gold, silver, not as bullish. They set up on a little bit of a short term basis, but I think they've gone even a little too far to the upside here on gold and silver. I'm not real excited about gold and silver or even the gold and silver miners. The miners, though, are triggering a trend rider bull signal. Okay, but I say that by also with the notion that trend rider bull signals on the miners. If you go look at past history, they're not nearly as good as with other sectors. Okay, but to see the miners, I wouldn't be shorting them here, right? I mean, basically, we got the short opportunity as it broke below the 7, and then Tuesday reversed and blew the shorts out. I'd much rather look at getting long, the FCXs of the world, okay? And you take a look at something like FCX, and I'll talk about these in more in depth as the day progresses. But you look at something like FCX, and you say, you know what, FCX probably a little overbought, right? You throw on CCI, MFI, RSI, a bunch of different indicators. The oscillators, they all indicate that FCX is overbought. But let's back this up. Take a look at the weekly chart. Okay, I mean, FCX has been basing out here for a year and a half. Take the monthly chart. Okay, take the monthly chart. This is something that's been basing out ever since that 2009 uptick, and so we're nowhere near overbought. We have a group that's catching fire overall, the steel and the copper and these material stocks that are really starting to see some major money come in. I was really surprised as I kind of went out and read all the opinion pieces in the market over the last couple days. I was really surprised at how many actually talked about steel and copper and these metals doing well in 2014. That has not been a theme. And while, yes, the markets may go down in 2014, we may see them pull back. I do think we see this group outperform tremendously. The CLFs of the world, the Cliffs Natural Resources, just look at this chart. Trend Rider Bull, low volume pullback, with it kind of going into year end, a little bit of bullish action here today really just sets up on a bullish continuation pattern, to go higher. Here on something like CLF. Yeah, Vegas, you mentioned Vale. Vale is going to be a little bit of a different one from the major theme. Vale is kind of beating to its own drum. Brazil has issues. And I think Vale, I'm very surprised Vale had no follow through on this bullish Marubozu. If you look at Vale, that's not traditional. Traditionally, these bullish type Marubozus, Vale has some nice follow through. It hasn't had it, and I think that's just a product of really what's going on in Brazil right now. And it makes Brazil a little tougher than some of the American steel. You'll notice the steel companies we've really been focusing on and talking about: the Nucor, the AKS, the U.S. Steel, these U.S. companies. Okay, even STLD, which it's just a phenomenal chart here on STLD for the bulls. You say, well, maybe it's overbought, but back this out from a weekly standpoint. Earlier this year, August, September, broke above the 16. It's continued to rally. It's been one of the outperformers overall, and a lot of potential to the upside there. Okay. So I like the sector, Brad, a lot. I think even just some SLX overall can give you some good exposure from a trade standpoint and entry standpoint. I'm very tempted to buy into Nucor here. I told myself I'd wait till the end of the day though. as far as this pullback. Just on the hourly chart here on this pullback on Nucor, it's pulling back on the daily chart right back to the 7. And then on the hourly chart, we're still not quite into those retracements. That's what makes me nervous. Doesn't have to go into those retracements, but the fact that we're not there makes me a little bit nervous there. Okay. AAP. Okay, AAP here, Advanced Auto Parts. The trend just remains strong for them. They've been outperforming the rest of the group. But even AutoZone is performing strongly. You got Pep Boys, which has been the underperformer kind of the whole group. But AAP, I just can't argue that. Sometimes I've preferred to play Borg Warner, BWA. BWA is a little bit more focused on supplying parts to GM and Ford and some of the big boys, where AAP is a little more retail. I was surprised to see all the little retail upgrades here today. And, we do have some relative strength in retail overall here today, relatively outperforming the market. This XRT ETF is really strong. We had some nice push off of the bottoms off after the pullback. Now we've kind of had this little bullish consolidation up here at the tops, very similar to what we saw back here in October. And AAP, is more of a retail, and as retail does well, AAP will do well. Okay. Hey Max, welcome. Great to have you. What kind of weather? I forget where you're at, Max, but hope the weather's not giving you too much trouble. WSM here, Williams Sonoma. Again, this is kind of in that kind of that retail theme. It's been consolidating, trying to push above 59. This isn't a stock who I could kind of rattle off what some of their fundamentals are, or a big biased opinion on it. But it's one that's been consolidating. The bands have been tightening. Just think of that as a rubber band. You're twisting the rubber band, twisting it, you let it go, it's going to fly. With Williams Sonoma, I'd want to see it break above 59.20 to be able to go after that. Okay. Yeah, Max, Bank of America, nice little upgrade for him today. So nice little upgrade there. Kind of helps that out. Jeff, you're still in X? Awesome. Yep. Fantastic there. Okay, so broader market. Okay, broader market down about 13 points. Okay, in general, the positions that we talked about kind of Tuesday afternoon. We have Boeing for the challenge. Boeing's been all over the place. We have Schlumberger. I have Schlumberger that I got into at the close. Tuesday still in. Verizon still in. Qualcomm, which we got in for the Vibe Trend Rider. It's been relatively weak here today, simply for the some of the news that's out there. And technology has been a drag today. Technology has been a definite drag. Kihu, Tesoro, Bank of America, all with some nice green here, and I haven't changed any of those positions. Okay, for those of you that were kind of watching those, I haven't changed any of those positions. Okay. We will with that. Obviously, Qualcomm's kind of been the underperformer of that group here. Is it necessarily bearish right here? No. But a 20, even 30 cent rally into the close today would really make it look good. This 73.25, 73.50 is the support area, and that's right around where the 7-day moving average is. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on. I'll be on here in about an hour, and with the last of the technical analysis classes. And I'll hop on here in an hour, and we're basically going to talk about some of the methods that are used to understand whether a stock move is significant or not. We've kind of built some of the technicals, some of the basics, some of the systems, and now it's kind of, hey, is something significant or not? And I'll show you some of the things I look at, some of the things others in the market look at, and we'll go from there. And then shortly after that, I'll hop on. We'll talk about the metals. I'll show you some of the longer term charts and some of the things that are setting up for them in 2013, and some of the similarities between their charts now and what their charts looked like in 2007. All right, well, thanks for hopping on, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.